Good morning, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County. Okay, we hear somebody, microphone just, okay, so I think we're good. So thank you. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that's here for you, for anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And we're here to provide the resources and other information that can help make you and your job search more efficient and effective in your job search. And our meeting is virtual. It is being recorded also, so it'll be on our YouTube channel if you've missed anything or have to leave a little early. And also, in addition to being Happy Aloha Friday, today is actually National Chocolate Pudding Day. And so I've actually got my snack pack right here of chocolate pudding that I'm going to be saving for after the meeting. I think if we were all together in Princeton, I would have bought a bunch of snack packs that we could have shared, but unfortunately we just couldn't do that today, so too bad for that. So if you want, and if you're able to celebrate National Chocolate Pudding Day, why not do that? We have a lot of resources that are here for you, that are here to help make you and your job search a bit more efficient and effective. PSG of Mercer County does have a website. The web address is psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. It is completely free to use for anybody anywhere around the world or the country, because the resources, a lot of them are not just for the New Jersey or Mercer County area. We have over 120 pages of website content. So it's a lot of information to help you if you're starting your job search, if you're stuck in your job search, you'll find information and content to start you down through those processes to get through them. If you're thinking of starting a business or buying a franchise or becoming a consultant, we have some pages that begin to introduce those as topics as well. So you're more than welcome to go visit our website, psgofmercercounty.org. We also have links to e-learning sites. A lot of people are trying to use their time in isolation for e-learning. Our link is on is over 37 links right now. We've got 37 links to different e-learning sites. A lot of them are free, a couple of them are not, but at least they're all in one place. You can find these e-learning websites. So go take a look at that page. It's under our professional development tab. We do also have our LinkedIn group. Now, our LinkedIn group is a bit of a private group. It's available, you can see it, but we only allow members that have been to one of our in-person or virtual meetings at least once. We're trying to keep kind of people who are just list collectors and name collectors out. And so do search for our LinkedIn group called PSG of Mercer County. If you are not yet in the group, please click the join button and we will immediately put you in pending status. And then what I'll do is I will look at that list. I do that about twice a week to see who's requested. Now, if I don't know you, I'm not going to accept you in the group. Just because you've asked, I'm not going to accept you. So if we don't know each other, a good idea is send me an email. You can do that at psgofmercercounty@gmail.com and just say, hey, David, I was at the presentation with Alex or whichever one. That way I could validate that you were in our group or been to one of our meetings. But we have over 1,560 members right now. And so those are people that are all or have been or all currently in job search. They've been through PSG of Mercer County. They understand the value of helping people who are job seekers. So there's a good chance that as you reach out to any of those people in the LinkedIn group and you ask them a question, there's a good chance they will get back to you. Do want to let you know, we do like to celebrate landings. So if anyone has recently landed and you want to have a little bit of a shout out, use the chat option. Chat is the icon on the upper right. You'll see on the upper right, looks like a cartoon bubble. And so you could write your comments right in there and we will be able to see that you've landed. So I hope that that is the case for you. If you've got anything else you want to share, good interview that came up or anything else, you could put that there. Mostly, please use chat also for questions and answers. During Alex's presentation, he's going to either pause or if I see there are a lot of questions, I may ask Alex, let's pause right now for a moment, and I will read the questions in chat, and he'll answer them. So if you can, please then minimize the amount of use of chat for things other than the Q&A, because it makes it a little bit harder for me to kind of scroll through the things like, you know, hello everybody, and here's my LinkedIn profile. You know, kind of make it a little bit easier for me. Sorry that needs to be the case, but I want to try and make us as efficient and as effective through our program, certainly. We do remind you, please keep your audio on mute, your microphone on mute. There's a button at the bottom of your screen, a little button that looks like a microphone, so make sure that's kind of X'd out. If I do hear any noise, I will be muting those people, of course, except for myself and Alex during the presentation. As for the camera, that's your choice. There's a camera button right next to the mic button. If your preference is to keep your camera off, if you're like some of us that didn't have a haircut and you're concerned about that, I get it, no worries. Keep your camera off. If you want to keep your camera on as well, Alex is going to be on one of his monitors watching people in case they have any, put a hand up or something. So if you do keep your camera on, it may help Alex as well. We are recording this session, as I mentioned. It will be up on our YouTube channel probably this afternoon. And also, the chat commentary I will be making available later this afternoon as well. But just to let you know, with this specific presentation, Alex is not able to share his slide deck. So you can contact him directly if you do want any of his slides, but in general, he's not able to share it publicly with us. So I'm not going to be able to post that this afternoon. Most of our presenters are able to, but there's a technical challenge with Alex's slides in this case. And okay, so I think we're all buttoned up and we're ready to go. So hopefully Alex is also nice and comfortable in his chair. And so I will just like to say, known as the landing expert, Alex Freund helps his clients land new positions and get promotions through effective interviewing. As a former director at Honeywell, Sanofi, and Tyco International, Alex is an experienced hiring manager. Currently, Alex is a career coach specializing in helping his clients improve their interviewing skills and making them confident and comfortable throughout the interviewing process. For the last 13 years, Alex has helped more than 1,000 clients, ranging from recent college grads to managers to CEOs in a variety of industries. Alex is volunteering in several job search networking groups where he is an occasional presenter. He conducts workshops on interviewing, resumes, LinkedIn, value proposition, branding, personal branding, and alike, in addition to publishing a weekly blog written specifically for job seekers. His blogs are posted on many LinkedIn groups. They appear in Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur magazine, and the Business Insider. For over 8 years, Alex has been teaching a course for people in transition via the Princeton Adult School and publishes the Landing Expert List, which is a free directory of job search networking groups via his website, landingexpert.com, landingexpert.com. And you can find his blog posts on his website as well, landingexpert.com. Alex is a Cornell University graduate, and he speaks 5 languages. PSG of Mercer County is always pleased to welcome one of our strongest supporters, the landing expert, Alex Freund.
David, thank you so much. David, do you mind doing the introduction again? I really like listening to what you just said. It's really
let me turn the page. Let me see what else you gave.
You know, nowhere else I go and people speak so nicely about me. So, you know, okay, you don't want to do it, that's fine, you know. Okay, good. So let's start with the presentation. But while you were talking, I was just thinking, you know, nowadays it's coronavirus day, and universally people just speak, they complain and so forth. And I am a person that I always like to see the glass half full and not half empty. So I was thinking, what is positive about coronavirus? And for me, you know, I like people, I enjoy being with people. And I said, if I want to meet people, what do? I either go to a networking group such as this one, or I invite people to my house. Now I have a third option. I put together quickly a presentation, I invite everybody, and look, right now we have 135 people come. I mean, Nothing pleases me more than that. So thank you all for coming. Anyhow, that's a humor side of this. So let's get into the presentation. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go rather quickly through my slides. I have a number of slides. When you have a question, we'll use the chat. David will monitor, he will stop me, and then I will try to answer to your questions. The meat of this presentation is really at the end, because I'm going to have 2, or hopefully, if we have time, even 3 mock interviewing with me. That is my specialty. And, the material I'm going to talk about through my slides, it's, I basically read books, read articles, what I've learned throughout the years. This is what I'm going to talk about. But the uniqueness and the specialty is at the end, when we do a little bit mock interviewing with some not so common questions. And let me give you a hint. I have something up my sleeves with these specific questions. So stay tuned. So why can't I get the job? By the way, have you ever asked yourself this question? Now, by the way, let's have a convention. You see, I don't want this to be a one-way communication. So you don't need to like everything that I say. So if you don't like it, do this. If you like it, say this. This way I can see that we are communicating. So have you ever asked yourself this question? Why can't I get the job? Yeah. Okay, move. Yeah. Some people are moving their head. Yeah. I want to tell you, I asked myself this question several times in the past. My thinking was this: what's wrong with this picture? I happened to be an Ivy League school grad. I did well. I had great jobs. Why can't I get that job? Other people have jobs except me. So what's going on? What's wrong with this? So, well, the answer is because you are facing adversity. And yes, that's what it is. So in preparing for this presentation, I did a lot of research. I read articles, and, I came across, a saying that Friedrich Nietzsche said. By the way, he was a German philosopher. He died around 1900. And what he says here kind of makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you. What he says, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Think about it. How true that is. God forbid you cannot hear a thing. And you see some people acting very funny on the dance floor. Logically, we think these are crazy. What's going on? But you see, if you can hear the music, looking at people dancing is something very pleasing and very natural. So evidently, if you are missing something, and I'm going to tie this to your job search, is it possible that you're missing some elements to win the job search competition? The idea here is to put a picture together made up of pieces of the puzzle. So is it possible the reason you didn't get the job because you are missing a few pieces of that puzzle? Is it possible? Just food for thought. Look at these pictures. I want to tell you, my heart rate doubled when I saw these pictures. I said, what? Are these people nuts? Are they crazy? I mean, their life doesn't matter. I mean, you fall into an abyss. How dare they make such a courageous step? What are they doing it for? Are they crazy? Now, am I singular in thinking this way? Or you think like I do? What is happening with these people? These young people don't have brains. What's going on? Tell me if you think like I do, and shake your head one way, either this way or this way if you don't agree. Okay. No, David, there is a convention, up or down, vertical or horizontal, not around. So yeah, you think some of people think this way. Okay, well, look what's happening here. By the way, this is somewhere in Brazil. So even if you hang on to that rock and you fall, I don't wish it on you, but you don't fall to an abyss. So this is a kind of, this was taken with a camera from a certain angle, and what your brain filled in what is missing. You think, oh my God, if people fall, I mean, for sure they are dead. But in fact, what is happening is, no, you just hurt yourself. Probably you don't die. So might this be something that's happening to you? You look at the job search from an angle, and because of that, you don't get the full effect of what you want. So I meet all the requirements. I possess all the skills. Why don't they call me? Is this a question that you ask yourself? Please be honest. Don't lie to me. Yes or no? Yeah. Okay. But perhaps you don't list the right keywords, and that's the reason they don't call you. Is it possible? I would say most likely. Or your resume and or your LinkedIn profile is mediocre or doesn't stand out. They don't want to talk to you. You are not exceptional. You don't meet what they want. Is it possible that your social media presence revealed something negative? Social media is not only LinkedIn. Social media includes other social media. And sometimes I see there things that I don't want to be associated myself with that person. So I disconnect from that person. Some people put things on social media and other people object to it. So be careful what you do. Or you are lacking the fit. Oh my God, how many times I hear that from my clients? You're lacking the fit. Well, everybody's organization kind of round. Well, you're not round, you're a kind of square. That's why you don't fit. Or is it possible that you practice outmoded job hunting skills? Your thinking is, well, I was good in the past. Fact is, I had a job for 17 years. I must be good. So let me do what I did 17 years ago. That will get me the job. I talk to my clients and they say, Alex, please help me. 15 years ago was the last time I sat at that side of the desk that they asked me questions. The rest of the 15 years, I was the other end and I asked them questions. Help me. Interviewing or answering interview questions is not something you are born with. Jokingly, I always say there are exceptions to this rule. Barack Obama and Bill Clinton are excellent at this. Other people are not so good in answering interview questions. So a little bit about what happened to us in the past. In the past, resumes that matched an employer's requirements led to an interview. Recruiters would screen out unqualified candidates. Job seekers' primary activity was responding to published openings. Why? Because it's very easy to apply. You spend half an hour to 2 hours or whatever, and you click the button and you send your credentials and you feel, I'm accomplished. Look, 2 hours today, I did something toward getting a job. The hiring process used to follow a logical pattern. That was in the past. You sent in an application, somebody read it, you received a phone call perhaps or an email. Next thing, you're invited for the first interview. That goes well. They call you one more time for the second interview, and next thing, you receive an offer. That's wonderful. Everybody likes that. Or it did not span for months with panel interviews on multiple occasions. Has this happened to you guys? Please. Yes? Yes? Okay, move your head a little bit so I can at least tell. No or yes? Okay. Some of you seem like a sculpture. You don't move one way or another. Okay, so I can tell you this happened to me. A friend knew that I was in transition, and he was kind enough to call somebody he used to network with, and he is now a vice president at Johnson & Johnson in my area. He made the call on my behalf. Next thing, I speak with this vice president, and shortly he said, you know what, I want you to meet with the director in charge of this function. Next thing, I am scheduled to go to Johnson & Johnson. I meet with the director. The meeting goes very well. And he says, Alex, I want to send you out to 2 of our manufacturing plants in Pennsylvania. Okay, I feel very good. I interview with two groups of people in Pennsylvania. I come back to the director. He gives me glowing reviews. People really liked what they saw. They really would like me to start with them, etc. So now the director says, Alex, I want you to talk to my boss, to the vice president. I'll set it up for you. I said, okay, I understand that, I mean, let me remind you, this was a guy that initially started the whole process. So I meet him in his office on Route 202, and this was the worst situation I've ever faced in interviewing. He, in 1 hour, shot at me 18 very difficult interview questions at the speed of a machine gun. I almost felt like I'm standing against a wall and there is a squad of people shooting at me. It was the worst feeling. Could you guess what the outcome was? I didn't get the job. So again, it happens. It happens. I don't make this up. So in the past, leaders were going lifers, rising through the ranks. I am sure all of you have heard situations that people started somewhere, I don't know, in the mailroom or whatever. Soon they became supervisor, manager, vice president, and at one point they reached really a very senior executive position, either number 1 or number 2 in the organization. There's no question in my mind, you guys heard such situation. This was the way it went in the past. You have to be for a long time with a company, and then you are rewarded. So let me see. Yeah. So next one, loyalty and tenure led to job security. And I remember now when I read this, a conversation I had with my own son, and I'm trying to tell him, you need to be loyal. And he said, Dad, what's that word? How do you spell that? What does it mean? He said, Dad, my generation doesn't know the word loyalty. Your generation does. My generation doesn't. You get a job and you find something else, you just move on. So this is a very different mindset. People in my age group recognize, you go for company and you're loyal and you're rewarded and so forth. Employees had little control over their career path and dependent on employers providing training, relocation, advancement. Absolutely so. This was in the past. You join a company and they sent you to courses and so forth. And if they needed to relocate you, they did. This was the way America was in the past. Employee promotion was based on performance and was managed by the company with very little risk. There was a pattern, there was a path. You were a good employee. They did with you what they thought is right for the company, and this is how you progressed. Now, but the advent of new technology demanded change. And that just came in with the internet, and needed resources and talent had to be brought in from outside. Everything developed so fast, they simply could not develop enough people to provide what they needed. So they had to go on the outside. Outside candidates sponsored by referrals seem preferred over strangers from the candidate pool. Okay, so referrals was important, right? So I'm reading now a book, it's right here, Switchers. It's this lady called Dawn Graham. She is very, very impressive. and she is at Wharton, a professor. By the way, she is also, she has a PhD in psychology, very, very impressive. So I was watching in preparation for this presentation, YouTube, very, very impressive. And this is what she said. So this is a summary of the 15 or 16-minute YouTube. She said, she's talking now about people that were interviewed. She said, 3% of applicants get interviewed, 3%. 50% of referred applicants get interviewed. So what does it mean? If you are preferred, no, if you are referred, that means that you increase your chances from 3% to 50%. That's very significant. And that means you need to find referrals, and we'll talk about it in a minute. She also talks about hired people, and this is what she says. 40% of hires come from referrals, 40%. Yet 91% of hires come from referrals from a director level or above. This is stunning, because basically what she says, if you find an internal director or above level executive who makes she refers you in to the right person, the chances are 91% that you'll be hired. So this is tremendous. This is incredible. This is what you need to do. Now, I want to show you additional information. I know this is a little bit confusing, but I have the next slide that simplifies what it's here. Look on the left side of this slide. It says something like total applicants 426. And then to the right side of the slide, the rejected people were 156. And then the saved for later, 268. And out of the 268, notice that 181 job applicants were mismatched. However, potentially qualified were 97, of which 13 people got interviews. Fully qualified were 5, and 2 people got a job offer. So the next slide simplifies this and makes this slide very meaningful. So remember, total applicants is 426, and that we call 100%. The rejected 156 was 37%. Mismatched was 181, which represents 42%. The potentially qualified was 97, which is about a quarter, 23%. Of those quarter, 13 were interviewed, which again supports what Don said, that they were interviewed. However, fully qualified of those were only 5, which represents 1%. And there were 2 offers made. Yeah, David, I just think there are 2 offers made, and that's only 0.5%. David, I see that you're waving at me. Good, somebody's moving.
Yes, so Alex, I just wanted to let you know there's a couple of questions here. And
Okay.
if this is a good time to take some questions.
Anytime they have questions, I want to answer.
So Mark asks, several of his friends have done some really good work on unconscious bias. I think this is hard to combat in an interview. Any ideas?
Did you say conscience bias?
Unconscious. I got it, Mark. Unconscious bias.
Yeah, I can explain that if he needs it.
Okay.
It's kind of like where you get a software development shop where it's founded by white males and all the developers somehow end up being white males. It's just looking at things about people, and you're not purposely being prejudiced, but it happens anyway. That's sort of a short version.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Thanks. We'll put you on mute.
Okay, so the question is, how do you fight this? My background is certainly not psychology. Is there a bias? Yes. And I think the next slide talks about that bias. I have to admit to you, I don't know exactly what the right answer is, but I'm very much open to listen. I have very smart people right here on this call. If there's anybody that want to jump in and kind of express an opinion, that's the right opportunity.
So I could speak to that briefly, Alex. This is Hannon Isaacs. Unconscious bias, we all have it. Proving it and dealing with it are two very different pieces. It's, you know, if you've got proof, some proof is able to be just done completely statistically. For example, over the years, there are court cases where a fire department is 100% white male, and the population that could be qualified is 50% female. And when women were trying to make the case, that's how they did it. They can use statistics. It's one way to do it.
Thank you.
Anything else,
For those of you that don't know Hannon, he's an attorney and he specializes in his practice in employment law.
Can we move on?
Yeah, and there was just one question. Can you confirm the title of the book that you showed us on the prior slide? Switchers. So the book is called Switchers.
Outstanding book.
Terrific. Thank you.
That's okay, now.
I
may ask you a question. Do you hear my phone ringing or no?
No.
Okay, good. I'm getting so much spam. Anyhow, so let's move on. It's neither what you know nor the skills you possess, but who remembers that you can solve their problems. Think about it. When you network, first of all, make it clear it's not who you know, but who knows you. And one step further, do they remember how you were helpful to them? This is what they will remember. Networking, either personally or professionally, is tantamount to buying employment insurance. So let's talk a little bit about that. I don't know about you, but I buy car insurance. First of all, I'm mandated by the state, but also I want to be protected. I don't want to be protected for if I scratch a car or, you know, I have a $250 damage. That's not what it's about. God forbid the car is totaled. I don't want, you know, to lose all this money. So therefore, I have insurance. My house is insured also. God forbid it burns down. I need replacement. Now, let's take this to the employment. I don't know of any place that you can go and pay like a monthly policy and they will insure your job. They don't. But de facto, you can. And the way you do it, you network. And those of you that heard me speak before, I don't like the word networking, despite the fact that I do this all the time. I replace the word networking with creating or developing relationship. I think this word or this term is much more meaningful. This is something you should do all the time. The average tenure on a job is 4.2 years, and former colleagues are among the best source of leads. I talk to people every single day, and they feel very, very awkward going back to talk to colleagues that they socialize and work together on teams all the time, but they feel very awkward about it. I don't understand why. They are definitely willing to help you. The problem is at your end, you're emotionally not ready to face people because you are embarrassed. It's not your fault that you were terminated. You're embarrassed. You don't feel good about it. But I strongly suggest consider going back to those people that a month ago you just sat in the same conference room with them and you worked on a project together. These people are people that know you. These people are trusting you, and these people that will remember you because you helped them. So please consider going back to the colleagues that you work with, even going way back 10, 15 years. Smart career management requires being in continual job search mode. This is something that reminds me of Marty. Always stay connected. Staying in touch, strengthening relationships, and developing new connections are musts. Please remember this. This is something you have to do. This is what I was thinking about when I talked about job insurance. This is what you need to do. You don't pay for this, by the way. There is no policy that's written, but de facto it works. Creating and maintaining an online presence is vital. The goals are to attract others and invite them to learn about you. Again, as I said earlier, it's not who you know, but who knows you. Having an all-star LinkedIn profile is a minimum, in addition to using other social media relevant to your age group and your industry. In order to get high ranking on LinkedIn, you have to have what's called the all-star status. I'm not going to get into that. Mr. Lang, our expert, can teach you the details and share with you more information than that I will ever be able to. Your written and verbal communication should include your well-crafted value proposition. We're not going to get deeper into this. Several of you I know saw when I made a presentation for David's group at the Princeton Public Library about the value proposition. I suspect, David, perhaps it's still posted on your site. It's very, very important. I really believe if you do a good job on your value proposition, things will start moving for you. Finding and getting a job are themselves marketing jobs consisting of both inbound and outbound personal marketing. I have a presentation about personal marketing. Again, it's an hour presentation. I'm not going to get into it, but in that presentation, I differentiate between inbound marketing versus outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is basically almost like the magnet here shows. You attract people to yourself. People come to you to learn more about you. Outbound marketing is basically using a loudspeaker and just telling the world what you do. More specifically, inbound marketing includes blogging, making presentations, liking and commenting on LinkedIn, becoming known via professional organizations, joining social communities, or serving as a panelist. I'm happy to tell you, I practice every single thing here and I have very good results. So I strongly suggest, consider doing this. Being a specialist distinguishes a candidate as an expert. A generalist gets lost because of vast competition. Initially, when I started 13 years ago being a career coach, I said, well, I'm a career coach. It was great. I did not have a lot of business because I was just a jack of all trades. Then I said, well, perhaps I need to be a specialist. And from that point on, I heavily marketed myself as an interview preparation coach. And now business started being good. And it's very good now, especially during the coronavirus days. Evidently, let me tell you, companies are hiring. Absolutely, absolutely. For example, I give you 4 examples. If you are a pilot, that's a specialty. Not every person is a pilot. If you are a tall building construction manager or architect, that's special. If you happen to be a surgeon, especially, you don't do general surgery. Your surgery is specialized and your specialty is on human brains, and the only thing you work on is the frontal cortex, then you'll have a lot of business because you'll be seeked out. If you are a piano tuner, if you have a piano that needs occasionally to be tuned, then you need an expert, a specialist. So my advice to you is don't become a jack of all trades, become a specialist. And as an expert, one can negotiate a better compensation package. Now, Here I introduced a little bit my sense of humor. I'm not suggesting that this is a mode of negotiation. I know people that this is how negotiate. I don't know if you know him. His name is Dan. His last name is Carleone. Do you remember? Do you guys know that guy? This is how typically he negotiated. You know, he used to make offers to people that they can't refuse. I'm not saying that this is a path you should use, but consider. Okay, so is Hanan paying attention? Yes, I can see he is. It is illegal to discriminate against gender, age, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, disabilities, marital status, or medical issues. Hanan, do you agree with this? Is that so? Is this the law?
That's half the law, Alex. New Jersey has 17 categories of protected status.
I couldn't include all those words. Okay, so yet such discriminations occur every day. Yeah, that's a fact. So how do those discriminations get by? I don't understand. Here I have a qualified expert, a labor lawyer, and he says yes, yet it's happening every day. How? Because companies have these unspoken, unwritten secrets. And you guys work at big companies like I have. And the secret, it's a secret culture. You simply don't fit. How many of you have gone to some networking groups, leading perhaps to some connections, leading to referral, leading to an interview? I talk to people that I help, and how was the interview? Oh, great, I said this, and he said this, and she said this. Wow, great level of enthusiasm. And then at the end, what happened? Well, I was told that I don't fit. I hate this word fit. You know what? It's a very short word, only 3 letters, but boy, it's a bag of information. So let's talk specifically about interviews. In this case, let's talk about interview with human resources. Typically, they are very general. They are not job specific. Why? The HR people really don't know specifics about what you do. So what is the human resources looking for in an interview? They are looking for skeletons in the closet, undisclosed issues from your past, or perhaps a recounting of your resume. There is a very common HR question that says, please walk me quickly from college to present in your professional career. I have asked that, I'm not HR, but I ask that very often, that question. And the reason I was asking, because I wanted to find out, is there anything that you're not telling me? So when you say, well, after college, I started with company XYZ, and from there I moved on to company MNO, and then I'm checking very carefully. If you represent somebody who is very emotional, talking about your transition from company A to company B, that just opened me a big area that I'm going to ask you more and more questions about that. I want to know, why did you move? I mean, you just told me company A was wonderful. Why did you move to company B? Unless I hear from you a very good and reasonable, plausible answer, I'm going to have another 2 or 3 questions about that. I want to know exactly what was the reason you changed. Okay, so another area that is very challenging for most people. Do you know how to answer a perceived liability? I want to emphasize the word perceived. By the way, every person has liabilities. They have perceived liabilities in my eyes. If by any chance your MBA is in marketing and not in finance, I'm going to ask you about that. You may have some other things that I perceive as liability. Oh, aren't you overqualified for this position? Or it appears to me that you don't have specific skills in this area. These are perceived liability, and if you don't know how to answer to that, that might be very, very challenging. How can you influence a human resources interviewer? Well, by projecting competence, displaying good communication skills, and stressing your ability to work collaboratively. I think these are nowadays the skills that are mostly in demand. Practice interviewing until you feel and can project confidence. People can detect very well if you're prepared and or if you have the confidence to take over this job. Your body language communicates with you way more than what you think. If by any chance you seem to me not confident, I'm not so much attracted to hiring you. So projecting confidence is of utmost importance. Smile a lot. You know why? Because by smiling, you communicate with me, Alex, I like to be with you. It's pleasant to be with you. If you frown, that's the very opposite. So again, smiling is a common known display of pleasure being with someone. And the problem here is when you are under stress, guess what goes first? The smile. I stress with my clients, and actually jokingly, I tell them that I am torturing them, and I do, because I don't let them go until I see they're able to smile and talk to the point at the same time. I want to tell you, this is very difficult. They're throwing at you a question and you are so stressed out and you really need to think about it. The smile on your face is the first one that goes. So don't take my word for it. Record yourself and see that I'm right. So let's talk about the interview with the boss. Now, that's a very different animal. This is different from interviewing with the human resources. Please raise your hand if you would like to have an interview with this gentleman. John, did you raise your hand or is that you adjusted your monitor? Okay, so, oh, no, nobody. Evidently, this picture is kind of unpleasant. I would not like to sit in that chair opposite the gentleman. His body language is a kind of accusatory, demanding, all the negative qualities displays, right? You see how much we communicate with our body language? The boss is looking for fit, most likely similar to the boss. So one of the things you really need to emphasize how well you fit not only into his team, but into the culture and perhaps even fit in his own mind, to his personality. Show passion and excitement. That's the number one requirement of every interviewer after the fit. People will remember you based on what they saw on their screen and will not remember how you answer question number 8 versus the other people that were also asked question number 8. So I want to emphasize the visual memory is way stronger than the auditory memory, which means when you go for an interview, you need to be an actor or an actress. And that's very difficult. Remember, an interview is a Broadway show on stage. The interview is not a recording studio that you talk into microphone, neither a test in college that you are to fill out a questionnaire with 12 questions and you have to mark all the answers that applied. Question: will this candidate support me? Make me look good? Remain loyal? I don't know about you guys. I mean, you were hiring managers as I was, but let me tell you, let me disclose this to you. These were questions in my mind. If I hire someone, will this candidate in 6 months from now still support me? Make me look good? Will he or she remain loyal? These are some questions that are going on in the head of the decision maker, and you need to satisfy those. Oh, by the way, can we afford you? I mean, I know this is just a very small detail, right? Can we afford you? I am coaching right now an individual. I cannot tell you what state he is in. I think he's in Nashville, Tennessee, but I wouldn't swear that's true. So anyhow, I prepped him. He went for his interview. He spoke with the president. Then he spoke with the CEO. And he was called back. They really like him. And at one point, they said, okay, so what kind of money are you looking for? So he said, well, I'm looking for some, just one second, David, I'll stop. I'm looking for something between $250,000 to $275,000. This was my last position. The reply was, if we were to pay you this, you'll be the highest paid person in this organization. So then we had a negotiation session, how to take it from here on. I'm not going to spend time on that, but again, you need to evaluate that. David, you waved, so please.
Yeah, Alex, thank you. There are a few questions. I thought maybe we can address them now if you're at the end of this slide.
Yeah.
So if we go back, I think this was from your statistical slide of percentage of people being hired by referral. This is from John. Where did the ATS reject process come in?
Where do the ATS?
Where did the ATS reject process come in?
Well, at the application level. The ATS is only at the application level. You apply, and the ATS decides whether it will go forward. I read somewhere that 72% of applications or resumes are never seen by a human. So only 1 out of 4 are viewed by a human.
Thank you. And you were talking about networking a little bit earlier. What do you do if you haven't worked in years?
What do you do if you haven't worked in years, right?
That's from Christopher, yes.
Yeah, okay. Listen, networking, like Marty says, it's an ongoing thing. Don't just network only when you need a job. That's ridiculous, but this is what people do. You network all the time. And you network with your friends, your family. These are the first line of defense. These are the people that are very much willing to help you. You network with your past colleagues, not only recent past, but you can go back several years. You network with your college alumni. You network with people impromptu that you meet at cocktail parties or anywhere else. You definitely network nowadays on social media. The best place is on LinkedIn. You are expected to network on LinkedIn, and you have to learn how to do that.
Okay, thank you. This is from Mark. Do you have any suggestions related to body language in our new world of video-only interview process? The smiling part seems unchanged, of course, but other aspects would seem to change.
Okay, I'll tell you what, as you know, I have a whole hour presentation about the body language. I would like to do that. Let's see if we can squeeze this in at the end. So I would like you, David, to ask me at the end if we have time, and I will demonstrate several things about body language, and especially during coronavirus days, because they're very, very applicable now. It's likely you will not shake hands or present someone a business card in the near future. Everything will happen via the screen. So is it okay if we put this toward the end? Is this okay?
Yeah, we can do it then, and I can also let people know last month, or I should say this month, 2 weeks ago at the Breakfast Club, Eileen Sinnett spoke about body language for job seekers. That's on the Breakfast Club of New Jersey YouTube channel. You can go get that video as well, but if you could spend a few minutes later will be important.
Yeah, happy to do that.
I'm missing the context of this question from Leora. These are all good points and pitfalls, but can Alex please give the appropriate answers and behaviors for each of his points? So I think it's related to this slide and a couple of prior slides where you gave a couple of points.
I didn't get it. David,
there are, so I think this is from Leora. She must be recalling your prior 2 or 3 or 4 slides. Each slide had a different point. Can you give appropriate answers to the and behaviors for each of those points?
Okay, shall we go back? Shall we go back? Okay, I'll go back.
Yeah, maybe to, right, like something like this, right?
So the question is, what is what you do? What is for you to do so the candidate feels that you support them, right? Well, if I ask you a question about your past, how did you support your boss in the past? So my thinking is, if you give a story that's plausible and believable, where you recount that you saved your boss's skin in the past, that's one. Make me look good. Again, bring about a situation that happened to you in the past that you, in a meeting, for example, you spoke highly about your boss, about one of the projects he conducted, something like that. Will this person remain loyal? That's very difficult. That's very difficult. Let me share with you guys a saying that I said at least 1 million times. All the people that worked in my departments have heard this many, many times. I said this: nobody impresses me for the first 60 days on the job. I said this many, many times because I believe in this. I had situations that I interviewed people, I hired them, and 60 days later, I said, oh my God, this person that was so promising during the interview now displays totally different behavior. You know, in the first 60 days, you are on alert and you really behave, but then the real personality comes out 60 days or beyond that. And here, will you remain loyal? I cannot predict, because you performed so well and so impressive during the interview. I cannot predict your real personality. Okay, so let me move back one. Show passion and excitement. Okay, when we go to the interview practice, mock interview practicing, I will show you excitement, passion and excitement when I will demonstrate. The boss is looking for fit, most likely similar to the boss. Again, this will come out when we do the practice mock interview. So let's move on. So we'll get to that point. Okay. So when prompted to ask questions, what are you going to ask about? You know, somebody will look at you at the end and will say, so do you have any questions for us or me? What are the questions that you're asking? That's very, very important. And don't say, I have no question. Please, I can tell you this was my mistake for many, many years. Many years ago, when I went for an interview and the interviewer said, Alex, do you have any question for me? I thought I will pay them a compliment. And I said, you know, actually, no, you really describe it very well. I have a good understanding. Thank you very much. I don't have a question. What a mistake. Big mistake. Your question reveals your concern. So prepare for this question. Ask only strategic questions. Strategic means one designed to achieve your goal. So what I mean here, I say something to the point that strategic means position yourself in a way that the answer to your questions help you answer better in your thank you letter. Don't ask, for example, oh, if I am hired, who would I be reporting to? Oh, if you're hired, you'll report to Randy. That doesn't help you. So you need to ask strategic questions. I don't want to get into it. That's another half-an-hour presentation here. You may have certain legitimate questions, but leave them to the very end. Ask certain others only after you get the offer. And I know people dislike what I just said here. Many people told me, what do you mean, Alex? I am interviewing them and they're interviewing me. My opinion is, no, they're interviewing you. Be very careful what you ask. During the end, when they said, do you have any questions for me? Or even during the interview, if they ask you some questions and you come back with some questions, something, for example, let's say you found out through your research that the company is not in a very good financial situation. And let's say you raised that concern. How many people would like to hire you if you bring that up? Probably not very much. Okay, so now we are getting closer to the interview question. I want to show you, I have a book here which I read. I don't know I don't know how many of you are familiar with this book. It's written by Daniel Kahneman. And what it says here under the word Kahneman, winner of Nobel Prize in economics. He just happens to be a professor emeritus at Princeton. And the essence of this book, the essence of this big book is, he says that people typically, and this is how the human brain works, people typically get rid of the easy answers first. And an example is this. Okay, I have two questions that I want to ask you. Please answer both of them. Question number one, by the way, there's a question in mathematics. Question number one, 5 plus 3. Question number two, 11 times 12. 100% of the cases say 5 plus 3 is 8 and 11 times 12 is... So the point is, people always answer the easy answer first. That's something that it is our brain. And that's what he's talking about in this book. And I'm going to use this to apply it when we do mock interviewing. So before answering a question, ask yourself which answer would be best. My point to use this is what I want to teach you. I ask you an interview question. There is more than one way to answer to that. So my point is, do you take this avenue, or do you take this avenue, or do you take this avenue? All of them are good. Which is the most advantageous to you? So here is the first question. David, could you please either appoint a volunteer or ask for a volunteer?
Right, so why don't we do this? We do have just a couple of questions in chat. Let's address those. But in the meantime, Alex has 3 interview questions lined up. He's asking for volunteers. If you want to be a volunteer, put your name in the chat. I want to volunteer. I'm just going to take the first 3. The idea is not that you specifically get the opportunity to interview, and we're happy to do that, but that we're going to critique those answers so everyone will get value out of it.
Yeah.
So
David, please point out to the people that I'm a really nice guy. You know why? Because I give you the question up front.
right.
Typically in an interview, they don't give you that.
I'm blessed to know Alex for a very long time, and he hardly ever abuses me, so I can say he's a very nice guy. So Mark has a question that he's noticed over the last month. The first question that the recruiters or the HR people are asking is the salary requirement. Now, Mark doesn't like giving a number because he feels he's negotiating against himself. He tells them that understanding that the position has market value, that I can work within that range. Any suggestion how to get past this pitfall?
Well, the person that's asking you, depending at what stage of the interview this is happening. If there is a recruiter that calls you, and question number 3 is, Mark, what is the salary you're looking for? Basically, you either meet the requirements or within 15 seconds, they hang up on you. Okay. Again, they will not waste their time. If you want 100,000, yet the company he or she is representing is willing to pay only 80, there's nothing further to talk, and they hang up on you. Okay. Now, if you move on in the hiring process and you get to the point that they really fall in love with you and they really like you, and they ask you, so what kind of money are we talking about? So first of all, be very clear. Are you talking about dollars or benefit package and dollars? Dollars means what they deposit in your bank. But so make sure that you're talking apple to apple. So you can say, I'm looking for a benefit package between X and Y. X is a minimum you're willing to accept. Y is 30% more. And at that point, let them react to that. They may say, oh yeah, that's within our range. And then the interview goes on. Or they may say, that's more than what we budgeted for. At that point, you have 2 choices. Either you say, with all due respect, if you can pay my minimum, perhaps this is not a good match. Or your answer could be, I have some flexibility. Okay, I hope that I answered to Mark's question.
Yep, and I guess what's important is on the first step, whether it's meeting HR or the recruiter or even filling out the application, that is not the negotiating process. That's really just staying in the game. So Alex's point is you're really going to negotiate later on, to Mark's point about the value. Okay, let's see. Don't wait. This is from Jill. What are some good questions to ask at the end of the interview?
Okay. Okay, the first question is, just 1 second, I can tell you, because I have a list that I am helping my clients with. Just 1 second. Okay, first of all, again, I talked about body language before, and I certainly believe in that very much. So, David, please ask me the question. Alex, do you have any question for me?
So, Alex, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, David, I prepared 3 questions. What do you think about me at this point? You asked me, do you have any question? I said, yes, I prepared 3 questions, and I showed you that I have prepared, I typed it, 3 questions. What do you think about this guy? David, you can answer that.
I'm sorry, Alex, I'm missing something. Are you asking me that question?
Yeah. You asked me that question. Alex, do you have any question for me? And I said, yes, I have 3 questions. At this point, what do you think about this guy?
Oh, I would think that's a little odd.
Why?
because not just that you have prepared questions, but that you're reading it off of a prepared list.
Okay. And I am 180% at the other end of the spectrum.
Okay.
I think this is good. First of all, I communicate with you. If I say, yes, I prepared 3 questions, I communicate with you. I have given some thought. These are important questions. I don't have 18 questions. I have 3 very important questions. I took the time to type it up. And most important, I'm different than everybody else. One of the things that I emphasized with the people that I work, please don't try to be like everybody else.
Okay.
One of the stupid things that I always say, I don't know why, but I've been saying this for years. I'm on the 2nd floor of my house. When I look out, I have a window here to my right. I look outside, I see 60 zebras. My job is to pick 1 zebra. How do I pick 1 zebra out of 60? They all look alike. Well, one of them is a little purple. Now I can pick a zebra because it's purple. You don't want to look like a zebra in an interview. You need to be different. This differentiate, I said, yes, I prepared 3 questions. I differentiate myself. Now, note that I haven't even asked the question yet. So I'll go very quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on it. The first question is this. What are the 3 most important traits that you're looking for in a person hired for this job? I'm asking for traits. Why? This is something they need, and this is something you haven't provided them. There is a saying in this business, we select for skills, we hire for personality. Personality. Traits is soft skills, personality. The next question is, what will be the more challenging part of this job? Essentially, you put the monkey on their back. You tell me, if I were to start in your company, what will I be facing as a challenge? And the last question is something very different. The last question is this. If hired, how can I help you get a gold star in your review next year? That's a very different question. Again, it's different than anybody else. Now, notice the first 2 questions are logical questions. In other words, my brain and your brain are engaged. The last question is my heart and your heart are communicating. How can I help you get a gold star in your review next year? I want to help you. And trust me, if you ask this question, you'll be memorized. Okay. Any other question, David? Because I really want to go to.
Yeah, let's move on. But for those of you, in case you missed Alex's 3 questions, remember this presentation is recorded and you can come back to it later today or tomorrow. So our first volunteer. Sorry.
And if somebody wants these questions and you want them, write me an email. But my joke is, write Dear Alex. Don't say hi, Alex, or hello. Say Dear Alex. And I am more than happy to attach it as a reply.
Wow. Okay, so our first volunteer is, I hope I pronounced Leora. So Leora Gill. So Leora, unmute yourself. It might be too hard for me to find you.
Unmuted.
Okay, very good. And great, be a part of the process now. So thank you for participating.
Thank you for having me.
Where is Leora? I don't see her.
Unfortunately, I don't have my camera on because it was too much internet data. But
okay.
I am smiling.
Okay, Leora. Okay, so Leora, what was your greatest crisis and did you resolve it?
My greatest crisis is when we had a blackout and suddenly in the building, and we had to meet deadlines according to regulations that are international UCC 600 regulations. So we had to also communicate to all of our clients that we couldn't send out any of their payments or anything. And we didn't have access to any of their emails or anything like that. That was all in the computers that were shut down. And we were in the disaster recovery area, but they didn't have anything ready for us. So what I did is I accessed old emails from each one of my clients, and I sent them a reply email to their old emails to inform them what happened. And that way they were satisfied, and I let them know that everything will go out the very next morning.
Okay, thank you. Now, I want to ask people on this call, what do you think about Leora's answer? If you were to really interview her, what are the comments that come to your mind? Please unmute yourself and share with all.
So Alex, this is Hannah.
I've actually had the same kind of problem in this. Get it out to the clients and you'd be surprised how much bad news they can take. That would resonate, that answer would resonate very well with me.
So this is Hannah, and my response is it was too long, just too long. It was like a friendly discussion, but I don't think it was as pointed as the interviewer would have wanted.
Okay, anybody else? One more and that's it. One more comment, nobody? Okay, good. That's fine. Now, I want to demonstrate this question, and then I want you to critique me, and then you'll see the point that I'll make. You remember? I told you I have something up my sleeves. Okay. David, do you mind if I use you as the person to ask me this question? I see you on my screen here.
Yes, sure.
Ask me the question, Alex, what was your greatest crisis and did you resolve it?
Alex, what was your greatest crisis and did you resolve it?
Of course. This was something about a year and a half ago. It was 2:30 in the morning. My wife and I wake up in the middle of the night and we hear some unusual noise. I mean, it was unusual noise, loud, unusual noise. And well, it took us seconds to decide what it was. It was our dog. The dog was choking. I don't know what happened. The dog made awful, scary noise. Remember, this is 2:30 in the morning. I don't know what to do. I called my vet. There is a vet that lives in our neighborhood. I have his number, and I called him. By the way, I hated to do it. 2:30 in the morning. So he said, "Alex, quickly meet me in my clinic in 20 minutes." So 20 minutes later, I was with the dog at the clinic, and David, I don't know exactly what he did. Listen, he is such a great doctor, really. I mean, I want to tell you. Right now, our dog is fine. It's great. I mean, like nothing happened. David, by the way, do you own dog? Do you have a dog or a cat?
No, Alex, I do not.
Okay.
Have you heard about something like this before?
Not a story quite like that, Alex.
Oh my God, I want to tell you, it was so scary. Yeah, by the way, do you like animals at all?
Yes, I do. We used to have pets. We don't have pets now. And I remember having good bond with my pets.
Okay, good, thank you. Now, I want people to critique my answer.
That's something very
Not all of you at the same time, one by one. What? Nobody? What is
Okay,
this?
okay.
Unmute yourself.
Alex is my friend. Hello? Alex is my friend. So yeah, just real quickly. I don't want to sound like I'm an impatient interviewer, but maybe I am. So I would really want to get, like, why are you telling me this? What does this have to do with what we're talking about? Now, it depends on the interviewer. Some people would absolutely love that and just be happy to go off into the personal thing that David talked about his pet. I might say, I'm here to interview you. Please don't ask me questions. You never know what you're going to get. So you're taking your chance.
Okay, so let me tell you, by the way, I learned this from one of my clients, and this is what he said. He was interviewing in Manhattan at a financial institution, and he said he was 10 minutes into the interview, at which point he raised his eyes and he saw a big picture of the guy who is interviewing him on the wall. And the picture showed the interviewer all dressed up. He had a helmet. He was leaning on a bicycle. So He said, oh, I can tell you like bicycling. For the next 80% of the interview, the discussion was, what bicycle do you own? What group do you belong to? How often do you go out? How many miles? Everything was bicycling. 80% was about bicycling. 20% was about, can you do the job? Could you predict what was the outcome? He was hired. Because if you like bicycles and I like bicycles, how can you be a bad guy? Remember, people are already qualified when they are invited for the interview. So now it's just a matter of bonding. Look what I did here with David. We talked plenty about my qualifications and my accomplishments and what I can do for David. So now I want to bond with David as a personality. So instead of talking about accomplishments, I take it away into a different arena. And I talk with David about something that perhaps he and I have in common. We both like dogs, and so all of a sudden we talk about something which is not work related, because there is a saying, people are hiring those that they know, they like, and they trust. So I am building my likability in this situation. Okay, can we move on? So we won't be here too long. Can we move on?
Yes, we'll do one more, Alex, because we have one more volunteer, and that's George Rears. So George, please unmute yourself and speak with Alex.
Okay, so the question is, tell me about the problem you resolved in a unique or unusual way.
Well,
This is not an easy question.
took me long enough to find the unmute button. So let me tell you about a problem that I solved in a unique way. And usually these problems deal with, in the IT sphere, which I'm in, timing and meeting dates. And we were up against an issue with the project delivery, and it did not appear that we were going to meet the date. So my first take on it was to assess the situation. I looked to see when we could possibly deliver and made sure that the date that we could commit to was absolutely achievable. And then I communicated it immediately. I didn't wait until the last minute, but I went ahead and communicated immediately, resisting the temptation to hold back that information and see if we could make it. I went the opposite and found out from others that that was all right. There were other aspects of the project from their communication rollout plan that were not going to be ready anyway. So by being upfront and honest about it, saved everybody from doing extra work.
Okay, I have 2 comments, but I want to solicit first what other people heard.
I have a comment.
Remember the question was, tell me about the problem you resolved in a unique or unusual way. So please, who wants to talk?
Patty, I have a comment.
Patty. Hi.
I'm not seeing the unique or unusualness in the answer. I'm not seeing that. With due apologies, I don't mean anything otherwise, but that's what I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So to speed up, let me butt in and let me get you my opinion on this. Remember the question. You have to answer the question: unique or unusual way. I'm with Paddy. Nothing unique and nothing unusual what you said. But the other thing that I want to share with you is this. There are 2 ways to answer an interview question. One is what I call the theoretical or the professorial, and the other one is giving an example. In terms of professorial academic, George, you did a very good job. You answered it well. But I would have liked to hear, for example, okay, because I will remember the example, I will not remember. You gave a very logical answer, by the way. I loved it. But I demand a kind of a higher level of performance. Is there anybody else that quickly wants to do this, or I can give you my answer?
No
But
other
how are we doing with time
I can
here?
try.
I don't want. Who is the person?
Hi, Arian McHugh.
Hi, Arian. I can see you on my screen. Good, thank you.
I could tell you about a problem that I resolved in a unique way. I once had a client that was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to run the reports because the report took too long to generate during the day. I did go to the product team and they told me it would be an enhancement request for them to make a change to the way the report runs. I went to the senior developer and explained the situation to him. He spoke to development and he was able to add an enhancement request for the client, and we had it scheduled for the client. So the client didn't have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore to run the report.
Okay, now, thank you. Let me comment a little bit about this. Let me remind you this book that I just spoke a little. You see, your answers were job related. I did not say, I said, tell me about the problem you resolved in a unique or unusual way. I gave you a fantastic opportunity to differentiate yourself. Both of you, George and Ariane, gave me a work-related answers. Most of the interview answers are work-related. I gave you an opportunity to differentiate yourself. I would take it out of the work arena and I would talk about something that is not work-related. I'll tell you why. Let me tell you what is hiding behind this question. Are you thinking out of the box? That's the question. So, Ariane, please ask me this question and I will answer to you.
Tell me about
Do you
a
have the
problem.
question?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Alex, tell me about a problem you resolved in a unique or unusual way.
Oh, yes. Prior to moving to Princeton, I lived in a place called Randolph, New Jersey. It's an hour north of Princeton. I lived in this house and I noticed that whenever we had a very strong rainstorm, the water would stand around the house. And that's not good because eventually it could penetrate and get into the lower level. So I knew I need to get the house, the water away from the house. Now, I have to admit to you, I'm a little too cheap to ask a construction company to come with a backhoe and dig out and all this. So I said, well, let me try to find a solution that's cheaper. At that time, I worked at Honeywell, and one of my departments was the cafeteria. So one day I went to the cafeteria manager and I said, you know what? Yeah, I know that you buy food products in this what's called a five-gallon bucket. You know, these are the big buckets that you can buy at Home Depot or whatever. And I said, instead of throwing it into the recycling, please run them through your dishwasher and I will pick it up every Friday. Every Friday, I backed up my car and he gave me like 20, 30 buckets that I took home. I had about 300 buckets at home. What I did, I took every single one and I cut off the end. So, and I nested them. So essentially, I created a probably 12, 15 feet long pipe, which is about this big. The whole summer, I dug out a trench from the house into the woods. I bought gravel, I bought some whatever, I put some sod. You would not know that anything is going underground. I resolved my problem. That's unusual. Most people would not do it, but I did it. Please critique my answer. What do you think about how I answered?
Okay.
I think you gave an answer that was unique. You know, you gave a personal, description of how you solved it, and you're answering the question. So I liked it.
So this is your friend Henry. And I have this reaction. It's the same as the other person who spoke. Lots of feedback on this line.
Your cell phone.
Go ahead, I'll get that. 1 second.
Take off your cell phone.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm speaking from a tunnel in the middle of the earth. Oh, that's better. So, Alex, again, I think it totally depends on who is interviewing and whether they have a tolerance for that level of detail and whatever. I mean, if I was seeking a job for a construction company, my God, that's a great answer. If you're going in for like accounting, other than counting 15 buckets, I'm not sure. So I think you're taking a risk, but you take a risk whatever you do.
Yeah, that's correct. Here is my reaction to that. You know, I'm such a strong believer that during the interview process, try to differentiate yourself. The question number one that every interviewer has in their mind, why should I hire you and not somebody else? If you don't provide me an answer to that question, I cannot select you. Remember that at one point, my boss is going to say, Alex, I understand for the last month you interviewed 5 people. Can you please tell me what the reason you selected Hanan and not somebody else? I cannot say, Hanan is such a great guy, you know, he's such a wonderful person. That's not a good reason for me to hire. You need to provide me the reason. As soon as I read Hanan's resume, I really liked it because he really is an expert in the area that we are interested in. So I spoke with him on the phone. You know, the guy is very eloquent. Also, I have to tell you, he's very likable. He would fit very well into our organization. And then he was interviewed by Mary in HR, and she came to my office with glowing remarks. That's the reason I decided to hire Hanan. You need to give me a reason to hire you. And don't try to blend into the crowd, because that's not a reason. I
am feeling so much better about myself, Alex. I feel good about myself. Thank you.
You know that I like you. Okay. Okay. Why don't we go now to the last thing? David, what was it? It was about body language.
Let me see if I can find it. It was so long ago.
I think somebody said, could I show some body language?
Body language in the context of the video interview, the importance of that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I can do that very, very easily.
Yeah, and then
okay.
we'll wrap up.
So, yeah, okay. So I think we'll be done in just a few minutes. David, I will use you as a person to ask me. Ask me a question, David. Ask me a question. Alex, what did you have for breakfast?
Alex, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Now, you noticed I rolled my eyes. David, what is your interpretation of me rolling your eyes after you asked me the question?
Maybe that you think that's a silly question. You're not
What
interested.
a stupid question David asked me. Okay, now ask me either the same or another question.
Alex, what did you have for breakfast yesterday?
This is called shifty eyes. What was your interpretation of what you saw on your screen?
It may be that you're confused or you don't want to answer the question.
Or I'm lying.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Ask me again, either the same or a different question.
Alex, how was your drive over to our visit today? Oh, I'm sorry, this is a video interview. I'm terribly sorry. Alex, how did you prepare for your interview with us this morning?
Well, I certainly did a dry run with you yesterday because I didn't want to be in a predicament that I would screw it up. What did my body language communicate with you?
It looked like maybe disinterest, or again, you were curious about why I was asking this question.
Okay, or I'm looking up, perhaps I don't have the answer, but perhaps I'll find it in the clouds.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, ask me another question. Let's see. Yeah, ask just about any question.
Alex, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
You should be more original, David.
I wasn't prepared to interview you, Alex. I'm terribly sorry about that.
I know. Okay, so you asked Alex,
Alex,
what did you have?
How are you? What is your opinion about the experience of this video interview?
Well, what I think about this interview is, now, did you see what I did? I kind of looked on the side, and I had my answer, but in my mind, I wanted to communicate with you that I need to think about it, to ponder. And when I was ready, I looked at you and I answered. Many times I see this with my client. I ask a question and bang, the very second that I finish the question, they have an answer. And by the way, this is a very difficult question. How come you have an answer on the tip of your tongue to such a difficult question? So that's not honesty, that's not integrity. That's a canned, premeditated answer. I'm not asking you to provide me a canned, premeditated answer. Okay? These are just a few. I mean, I could go on and on and on with many others. All I'm telling you, we communicate so much with our body language, more than what they hear.
Sure.
David, I am at the end. I don't know. At this point, take over and you do whatever you want.
Do you have a last, Alex, do you have a last slide you wish to display, your contact information?
Yes, but I'll tell you what. Now, I prepared 3 questions. We don't need to do this. We'll save it for another time. Here's my contact information. If anybody wants to ask me a question, you can call me, you can email me, you can go to my website and so forth. So that's it. This presentation is not about Alex. This presentation is about you. I just wanted briefly to give you my contact information. Easy to find me. Go on LinkedIn or go on Google. You'll find me.
Well, Alex, thank you very much. For those of you, if you're meeting Alex for the first time today, please note he's one of the most generous and helpful people you'll meet. So him posting his contact information here is very genuine. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for putting up with me.
Yep.
Thank you.
So just as we wrap up, just a couple of closing announcements. I want to let you know, again, as a reminder, unfortunately, Alex cannot provide this slide deck to us. You can contact Alex directly through his contact information or his website if there's any specific slide or information that you need. Although this presentation is recorded now, we will be processing the recording later today and posting it on our PSG of Mercer County YouTube channel. Also, there was a question earlier about the bias in writing or in a recording. One person you may want to speak with, not sure if he's still on the phone, is another career coach. His name is Gary Landy, and he specializes in your modes of communication like resume and cover letter and thank you letter. So you can speak with him also, Gary Landy, and maybe he has some information that could be helpful to you. A few people were asking about body language. 2 weeks ago, the last meeting at the Breakfast Club of New Jersey, it was on a Saturday morning, Eileen Sinet gave a presentation on body language for job seekers. And that presentation is on the Breakfast Club's YouTube channel. So on YouTube, look for the Breakfast Club of New Jersey, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Their last few meetings are all recorded, including the last one from Eileen Sinet on body language for job seekers. So what's coming up over the next few weeks? Alex is an interview coach. Next week, Alex, well, he's welcome to join, but he's not the presenter. I'm going to be giving a presenter on July 3rd, even though it's the day before July 4th with shelter in place. We decided to keep our meeting active. So we will be here next week, July 3rd at 10 o'clock. I'll be giving a program called Interview Preparation and Tips, and included we will be talking about video interviewing as well as other things you need to prepare for ahead of your interview. So you may want to come to that. All of our meetings are always free. You just join us. Go to our event calendar. If you don't get the email from us, the event calendar will always have the connection information. And then really cool, the following week, July 10th, Amy Warner will be here, and she'll give a program called Effectively Use an Applicant Tracking System. And you may be wondering, well, I've heard applicant tracking system presentations before, and there are some good ones, including Lynn Williams. Here's something unique. So here's a unique solution, Alex. Amy is the Director of Talent Management for ICIMS. They're one of the biggest software companies that make applicant tracking system software. So we will have someone right from the company who can give a presentation and answer your questions. Of course, remember every Sunday morning, George Pace on his Facebook channel does have his live webinars. That's facebook.com/keeppace, facebook.com/keeppace. Other groups, I did mention the Breakfast Club in New Jersey. A couple people had questions in chat about networking. The Breakfast Club on July 11th at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's a little bit earlier than this. Ashley Owens will be giving a presentation, and it will be virtual, how to not suck at networking. And it's a wonderful presentation. Ashley did actually present that to PSG of Mercer County in January. She's lively and exciting and fun to listen to, how to not suck at networking. So if you're a little shy about networking, you'll get some good tips there. PSG of Central New Jersey, they meet on Monday mornings at 10:30. Janelle Rosino will be giving a program called I Can. So you may want to look at her program as well. It's psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz. And also the oldest group in New Jersey Job Seekers, is now meeting virtually every Tuesday evening at 7:30 to 8:30. And they are presenting this Tuesday on Zoom. It's a small group discussion. You're all welcome. And so go to the PSG of Mercer County LinkedIn group. I posted the Zoom meeting link there. You're welcome to attend that meeting Tuesday, the 30th of June at 7:30. So want to once again thank Alex for being a part of our group and presenting. Alex is one of our longest and strongest supporters, so thank you so much for your continued support. Want to thank everybody for participating today. We had a nice crowd. I hope you had a good session, everybody. And I want to remind you, next week, July 3rd, we will have our meeting. I'll give a presentation on interview preparation and tips. So hope to see you virtually all next week. And until then, everyone, just happy to say have a good week, goodbye, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.